Most of us lead busy lives, so busy we can't recall everything we do at our jobs in a single day. But one thing we don't forget is when someone is rude to us, or snarky, which is sharply critical, cutting, snide. Research is showing that rudeness in the workplace impacts our brains in profound ways.
At the North DeKalb Senior Center,
your brain loves novelty. And the more you do things differently, the happier your brain will be, like, woo, something new.
Karen Zarin is leading a class called Ageless Grace.
This class is about fun, but it's also tapping into your cognitive development, your balance, agility.
Upper body strength.
At 70 years old,
we're also stimulating our internal organs.
Zarin seems pretty ageless herself.
Flash, I was taking a bath.
Zarin, who says she works to live a mindful life,
give it all you got,
was drawn to sign up for a study about personality and decision. Whatever she expected, it was not this.
Hey, you were supposed to message me 20 minutes ago. I don't have time to waste unnecessarily. Please let me finish. Don't interrupt me. See if you can salvage this session, okay?
I was absolutely appalled that somebody would be so rude, and I said under my breath to Rich, that's your boss?
Zarin would come to learn she was part of a study examining the impacts of incivility or rudeness in the workplace.
So Karen came in as one of our very first research participants.
University of Florida Doctor of Business student Dr. Richard Kirsten, along with researchers at the University of Maryland and Emory University, were digging deeper into an area of great interest for researchers over the past few decades.
Don't interrupt me, and I'll get done as much as I can.
How workplace rudeness impacts us. Workplace incivility or rudeness is defined as low-intensity deviant behavior with ambiguous intent to harm in violation of workplace norms. It is not hostility, abuse, or violence. It's subtle.
I'm not sure what you were trying to do in that report, but it didn't work.
And most of us have experienced it at one time or another.
So you thought it was a good idea to do it that way?
So we found that rudeness causes people to be less productive, they're less effective at problem solving, people who are exposed to rudeness are less creative, they're less helpful. And just turn left into this room.
Kirsten and his team recruited volunteers via social media. Their goal was to recruit everyday people, not to study students or other common research participants.
It just took a while. Okay, whatever. Just give me this.
More than 60 people ranging from their 20s to their 70s signed up. When they arrived, all received instructions from a neuropsychologist named Dr. Dave Cameron through what they thought was a FaceTime call. Half received instructions from a neutral Dr. Dave.
A lot of people have trouble with this. If you do make a mistake, just keep going and do the best you can.
Half got rude Dr. Dave.
A lot of people have trouble with this. But if you make another mistake, just keep going. Do the best you can, okay?
Zarin was in the rude group. He tells her she forgot to bring paperwork that had been emailed to her, which is not true.
Because you didn't follow the instructions in the email and complete the paperwork ahead of time, I don't have a whole lot of time. I know you're probably just here for the gift card, but I'm a very
busy. You can see Zarin is not quite sure what's happening at first. She doubts herself and imagines that maybe she did overlook an email she was supposed to bring in.
Don't interrupt me, and I'll get done as much as I can. My assistant can always answer any questions you might have afterwards.
Great.
So this study
Zarin is stunned.
I was shocked that I was going to have to be a part of something that was being led by someone like that.
So you said,
I've never been talked to that way by anyone in my entire life.
She apologizes for missing the email for the paperwork.
Honestly, I never saw anything to fill out, and I'm sorry if I missed it.
we will.
And then,
We'll just go for it.
after all of that, she takes 90 minutes of various assessments, usually given to people with mild cognitive impairment, a condition that's often a precursor to Alzheimer's disease. Sensors monitor her pulse and heart rate. The results of the study show how dramatically rudeness affects us.
Turns out that rudeness doesn't just impact our productivity at work or our willingness to help other people or our problem-solving skills. It turns out that rudeness can actually impact our ability to attend to multiple things at the same time. And it also turns out that rudeness causes us to be more impulsive.
Out of all the assessments they completed, participants exposed to rudeness were consistently slower and less accurate on the ERIKSEN flanker task, a cognitive test designed to evaluate attention. They also engaged in riskier behavior using the balloon analog risk task that measures impulsivity in decision-making.
For example, if you're making cost-benefit decisions at work, that's a big deal. If you're evaluating treatment options for a patient, that's a big deal.
Kirsten and his collaborators hypothesized that people act more impulsively because they're distracted. Zarin admits she was.
You're ruminating about it and thinking about it and wondering, could I have done it differently? And why was that person so rude to me? Did I set them off? Was it me?
In the back of our mind, in the RAM of our neurological computer, we've got some small program running in the background that is trying to interpret what was that, why did that happen, and what does that mean?
In Zarin's case, she was doing assessments for the study, but in real life, rudeness has a cost.
Dispensing a prescription is not a complex activity, but if incivility impacts our ability to attend to the task of dispensing prescription, then maybe we dispense 25 milligrams instead of 0.25 milligrams. If incivility impacts attention, then there's potential for an air traffic controller to not be able to attend to all the different variables that she or he has to worry about.
Rudeness can have devastating impacts, as evidenced by a study in the journal Pediatrics, where medical teams participated in a training simulation with a preterm infant.
If you have an observer who just makes offhand comments that are this low-intensity behavior, they found that a disproportionate amount of the time, the NICU teams failed to work together as a team. They found that the NICU teams broke down in terms of their teamwork. They stopped sharing information. And ultimately, in these diagnostic exercises, they often failed to identify a very serious medical condition that would lead to the death of an infant in a real-world scenario.
Studies on rudeness in the workplace are particularly common in business schools because rudeness is a big cause of employee turnover and reduced effort at work. And it's costly. One study found that a single rude incident cost a system $25,832 per year in reduced effort, time wasted worrying, avoidance of a rude coworker, HR interactions, and eventually, employee turnover.
So for example, if you're walking into your office and the person at the front desk is really rude to you, and then you go interact with clients on a different floor, we know that the impact of that preliminary exposure to rudeness, it follows you.
People who witness rudeness between other people suffer the same impacts. Rude emails do the same. And yes, all the incivility we see on social media these days is having the same effect as well. Dr. Kirsten and Karen Zarin met after the study and watched the video together.
I was shocked. Plus, I was feeling like you were maybe going to be disappointed in I was wasting your time too, and I was feeling bad about that.
Sure. Were you confused at all?
No, I just thought you worked for a horrible person.
Zarin laughs, knowing it wasn't real. But in the workplace, rudeness is a reality for most of us.
So one of our bigger concerns is that rudeness is increasing.
Okay.
One was an R1 and one was...
Kirsten and his team have landed more funding from the University of Florida to keep studying rudeness. It may be an unavoidable part of working with other people, but results of rudeness are real and far-reaching.
I'll call you in a couple of hours when we're both done. See if you can salvage this session, okay?
So the next time you're tempted to respond to that rude email in kind, maybe think again.